Now that we know how to draw shapes, it's time to learn how to start working with them and actually modifying them. So in this video, we are going to learn the move, the rotate, and the scale commands. And the first thing that we are going to need to do, of course, in our drawing is to type units, change it from decimal to architectural, and click OK. Next, I'm going to draw a line, a rectangle, and a circle. Any random location is fine. And the first command I will discuss is the move command. This command is going to be one of the commands that you use all the time. And like the name suggests, it allows us to easily move objects that we have already drawn to any place on the screen that we like. And it's so much easier and so much more precise than just grabbing an object by the center grip and moving it around. So, the move command button, along with all the other modifying commands that we're going to work with in this lesson, are located under the Home tab in the Modify panel. You can also type the word move. You can highlight the object that you want to move, so highlight the object, right-click, and choose the move command from the menu that pops up. Any of these options work great. Just choose the one that works best for you. I am going to use the buttons out of the ribbon just so that you can see how that works. And we're going to start with moving the line around a little. So there's actually two ways to go about this. So let me show you the first option. The first option, you can select the object, start the move command, and then click on a base point, and that's using the center of my crosshairs to pick a point that's going to be called the base point. It's basically the point from which the object will start moving, and that's kind of a strange concept, so I want you to watch this before you actually attempt it. I can click on a point either on the end of the line, at the middle of the line, or at the other end of the line. I'll choose the end of the line, and you can see that when I clicked it, the center of my crosshairs, that line suddenly becomes attached at that specific point, and that can allow me to take that point and attach it to something else. The same will work for the middle point. Highlight the object, click move. Because I have my O snaps on, I can find the midpoint of this line. You can see how it connects to the center of the crosshairs of my cursor, and I can then insert the line at that point. Now I can also select the line, click the move button. I can also click a point off of the line. So I'm going to randomly just choose a spot here, and notice that the line stays proportional to whatever point it was that I clicked on away from the line. Kind of cool, right? So let's say that I want this line to be about 1 foot above the top corner of this rectangle. I click the object, click move. I'm going to hover my cursor over the endpoint of this line, and I'm going to use my O snap tracking and type 1 apostrophe for 1 foot. And that line has automatically become connected to a base point that is located 1 foot below the line. I'm going to zoom out a little there, and I can check it. We'll measure. Here to here is 1 foot. Look at that. So again, you can click the object and then do the move command. You can choose a point on the line or anywhere away from the line if you want to. Now the second method that you can go about doing this is actually to click the move button first. And then the cursor prompts you to select the object you want to move. I'm going to select the line. And even though I've clicked on the line and I've obviously got it highlighted, the cursor says select objects. So in CAD world, I have to tell AutoCAD I am done selecting objects because it'll want me to continue to select and select and select. So I do that by pressing enter. Now the cursor is asking me to specify a base point. So very similar to the first method, I still need to choose a base point, the point at which the line is going to attach to and move with. So let's pick the end point here, and I'm going to move it down and I'm going to snap it to my rectangle. Now I can do this with any shape. Here is the rectangle. I'm going to click on the rectangle, click move. Maybe I actually want it to be attached to this side of the line. And it also works the same for circles. So I'm going to click on the circle, move. Circles are a little different because you want to automatically go to the center, but for whatever reason, CAD won't read the center unless you hover over the circle itself. And all of a sudden your O-snap says, oh hey, here's the center of that circle. So I'm going to click, and then maybe I want to put the circle on the end of the rectangle, just like that. Now is a great time to pause the video and practice using the move command. Start by selecting the line first, and then the move command. Understand move behaviors, and then switch to selecting the move command first, and then the object. Practice moving multiple objects at a time too. You don't have to just move one object. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on, and we're going to go over the rotate command, and this is a command that you may use often while drawing in model space. I'm going to demonstrate with using the line first, and I'm actually going to grab the line and I'm going to just move it randomly over. The rotate command button is located in the modify panel of the home tab as well, and like move, you can also type rotate, or you can highlight the object, right click, and choose the rotate command in the menu. Again, choose the method that works best for you. And like the move command, you can choose to either select your object or objects first and then click the rotate button, or you can click the rotate button first and then all the objects that you want to rotate. You know, there's so many choices, so many choices. It's like having to choose from the dark side or the light side, like the red pill or the blue pill, or choosing the right house at Hogwarts, or choosing the right faction to fit in, or choosing the right dress for the Capitol's annual Hunger Games ball, or choosing the right team for your Pokemon Go team, because it's so important to pick the right team. Okay, I'm done. I'll demonstrate the first option. So select the line and then select the rotate button. Again, I have to select a base point. This time it's going to be the point from which the object will rotate about from. So if I pick the end of the line rotates at the end of the line. See how that works? If I pick the center of the line, now I'm going to click the line, right click, and now I can hit repeat rotate. So what's kind of nice about AutoCAD is it automatically tells you, hey, you can repeat the last command you just did. Thank you, CAD. Let's rotate it from the center so that you can see what it looks like when we rotate from that base point. Very nice. Now if I pick a point off the line, click and rotate, I'm just going to randomly choose a point down here away from the line. The entire line rotates around that one point. See how that works? So the closer the base point is to the object, the more confined the rotate will be. The further away the base point is from the object, the more the object will move from its original spot. See, you can even see the shadow of where that original spot was and how far that entire line has moved from that spot. Now you can also type in a specific rotation angle based on the 360-degree circle. So do you remember how CAD is based on this grid system? Well, rotate is based on that too, but it's a little tricky, and I'm going to demonstrate it with my cursor. I'm going to select the line, select rotate, and select the midpoint of the line. With my cursor, I'm going to go directly right using polar tracking, and see how it says 0 degrees, where it says polar, and then eventually it says is less than 0 degrees. Now look at the line. It's staying in the same position as it was before I started the rotate command. So 0 degrees means the object stays in the same position. Moving your cursor to the right means the object stays in the same position. And if I move my cursor straight up, suddenly my line is rotating and my cursor prompts now say 90 degrees. And if I move my cursor straight to the left, the line moves again and it says 180 degrees. And if I move the cursor down, it says 270 degrees. And that's how rotate works. It's kind of on its own coordinate system. It's a little different from the CAD's coordinate system, but basically the same concept. You can type the degree you want. So if I want this to actually go at a 45-degree angle, it will. So just remember that when you're rotating, the 0-degree mark is actually not straight up, it's actually straight right. Now pause the video and practice this method. I want you to get to know how the rotate command works and how it behaves. Place base points on the line, away from the line, far away from the line, and see what happens. Also, practice the second method of choosing the rotate command first, then the object or objects you wish to rotate. And once you get those methods down, it's time to move on to the final part of the video. Last but not least is scale. Scale is a little bit tough because it has strange behaviors, but basically, if you want to make a shape larger or smaller, but you want it to stay proportional to itself, you would want to use the scale command. And like all other modify commands, you can click the object first, or you can click the scale command first and then the object. I've got everything selected that I want and I hit enter. My cursor is saying specify the base point. Sometimes this is where things get wonky. I'm going to do it right in the middle, right in the center of this line, and I'm going to click. Now as I move my cursor out, the line gets bigger, and as I move it closer to that original point, it gets smaller. Trying to make these shapes smaller, it gets a little tricky. So here's a trick that I learned when I was out in the field that might help you with trying to figure out scale. When you want to scale an object, type in decimal numbers. Wait, did I say decimal numbers? Yes, I did. But we're in architectural units, crazy lady. How does that work? Well, architectural units are in feet and inches, right? Feet and inches are comprised of fractions, whole or not. When you divide out fractions, you get, you guessed it, decimals. Here's how the trick works. Everything is based around the number 1 in terms of scale. So 1 equals 1 whole unit or 100%. If I scale this line to 1, and I'm going to type 1, enter, it actually stays the same size that it was originally. If I want to scale my line down to about 70% of its original size, highlight the line, choose scale, specify where you want that line to start scaling from. Now yes, I could freehand it and I can move it and do whatever I want to. See how it's really hard to control? This time I'm going to type 0.7 for 70% of the original size, hit enter, and it is now 70% of the original size that it was. That's the key to using decimals for scale. Don't type how much you want it to shrink, type how much you want to remain. So you're going to have to do math sometimes with scale. I know it is a scary thought doing math, but you can't avoid math when it comes to building things, even drafting them. So every inch counts. Now, if I want this line to be 2 times bigger, what would I need to type in the scale? Think carefully on that. If you said 2, you are correct because 1 equals 100% of the line. So if I were to type scale and click the line, hit enter, specify the base point, and then type 1, the line remains the same size. If I want it twice as big, click the line, scale, click. I'm going to enter 2, enter, and it is now twice the size it originally was. To make it half of the original size, you would have to divide it by 2. So if the original size is 1, divide 1 by 2, and the decimals that you get is 0.5, and CAD will recognize 0.5. Now you might be getting confused because you're thinking that this line was actually drawn at 1 foot or something like that. No, it's not. So there's the measurable scale of the object, which if I want a 9-inch line, just type 9, enter. This 9-inch line, scale-wise, is at 1. 1 equals 100%. This line at 3 feet is also scaled at 1. This is 100% of the original measurement that I gave it. If I want this to be half the size, scale, click where you want it to scale from, type 0.5, and I now have a 1 foot 6-inch line. And if I want this 3 times the size, scale, base point. I don't even have to move my cursor. I just type 3 and enter, and that line is now 3 times as big as it originally was. Measurement wise, it's going to be not 3. Let's see what it ended up being, 2 foot 3. And if you actually multiply 9 3 times, you will get 2 foot 3 inches, or 27 inches, right? 9 times 3 is 27. Yep, math. You're going to have lots to do with math, so let's take this opportunity to go ahead and practice scale a little with a line. Practice with the rectangle too. It's pretty easy. Just pick a base point where you want it to start scaling. I can make it big free-handed. It is a little hard to do to make it smaller free-handed, but if I type 0.8, I'm making it 80% of its original size. So try freehanding, scale, try typing in decimals, just try it out, and you may find your own shortcuts and cool ways to scale objects in model space. But otherwise in this video, you learned how to move objects, how to rotate objects, as well as how to scale them to larger or smaller sizes.